Smile, be, chat, join for networking.
Our brains are incredible. They do so many things. We're hearing from people all day about what our brains do for us. And they are wired to protect us, ultimately. They're wired to keep us safe and protect us from things that we don't want to happen. Now, I learned very early on in my life to start protecting myself. When I was 3, over a seemingly small episode where my parents were away from me for 3 weeks, I started to rely a little bit on myself and set in motion how to protect myself and the patterns. Turned to probably 9 or 10 years old. My dad had a near fatal car accident, and being an only child, I learned very quickly to really rely on myself for everything, for emotions, for looking after myself. My parents were great, but they weren't in the position where they could do this. So my brain had got into a really good little system of looking after myself, which was switching off a little bit. When I was bullied at school, it was great. I came from a church school that was very caring, very lovely. We were all very sweet to each other, and went straight into we got kicked out of the church. That's a whole nother story. I went straight into a school that was full of army kids. And not only was it full of army kids, it was full of kids that were down a year because they like to get an extra year's fees out of everybody. So you can imagine my naivety and their worldliness coming in when I went to school was crazy. The girls I could cope with. The girls sent me to Coventry. One of them now lives near there, that's quite funny. But I could cope with that. I would just go and sit at the back of my classroom and listen to Bon Jovi with my wire from my Walkman and disappear from the world. Now, the boys was slightly different. Dealing with the boys, I didn't know how to do it. I couldn't switch off. You can imagine segregated boys in a boarding school wasn't a good idea. Until one day I'd had enough. And something in me just became me. And I walked into a classroom and a boy started doing whatever the boys did in my class. And I had a big bunch of keys in my hand. I was on my own. I was sent across to unlock the classrooms. And I took these keys, something switched, something said, this isn't me, don't let them do this. So I actually took to him with this huge bunch of keys and my 80s pointed shoes and whacked the crap out of the guy. Now, when everyone else came back into the classroom, he was cowering in a heap and I was back in my corner listening to Bon Jovi. Something in me had become me again, and something protected me in a better way by being me. But I didn't learn from that. I carried on through life. I got to the point, I was living in New Zealand, and my life wasn't great. I had 2 safe places probably in the world, which was my car and my bed. And that was about it. I wasn't being a great mum. I was running a business and I was doing all right, but in terms of me, it just wasn't there. So I'd got tickets for Bon Jovi. I'd saved up, I'd paid for row 4 at the concert, and this was probably my 4th or 5th concert. They've followed me through my life. The music's always followed me. I know I could have chosen better bands to like, but still, this was it. And I got to the concert. I'd put some weight on as well as a cake decorator, eating my own product, especially when people didn't turn up. So I'd put some weight on. And there was me jumping around at the concert. John, notice me. And he did. He looked down and he smiled at me. And what should have been the most amazing point in my life became, I couldn't breathe. It was amazing, but still I felt shame, because where that music had carried me through my life and what I thought was protecting me had led me to that point where my life wasn't great. I wasn't where I wanted to be, and I definitely wasn't me. I swore at that point that I was going to go and pay for a photo to be taken of me with John when my life was how it needed to be. I messed around for a bit. I moved back here from New Zealand thinking that was going to be great. I started working in a job. But each time my old protection came back and kept going for me. I put on weight. I realised that I could check out of life, really. I started eating, and nothing against anybody who has extra pounds. It wasn't me. I started eating because I could. As I was growing, I noticed people weren't communicating with me the same. Whether that was me and how I felt about myself, I don't know. But I didn't have to smile at people on the street. I didn't have to talk to people. I didn't have to put myself forward for the jobs I wanted to do. I didn't have to set up my own business like I'd been doing in New Zealand, because I felt that I wasn't worth it. I didn't have to get into a relationship because I felt that whoever would want me at the ultimate size I got to was 22 wouldn't be somebody I would want to be with. So I was at the place 14 months ago where I was sat on my sizable backside making 150 phone calls, selling an app to accountants, day in, day out, arguing with my boss because I didn't stick to scripts. There was still a little bit of me that really kept the essence of me, but I was miserable. I was going home. I was having 2 lunches. I'd go to the supermarket and get a lunch, eat it in the car, and then eat one in front of my boss. And every evening I'd go home and just sit there. My daughter, she was getting older. I really wasn't engaging with her very much. I actually realised I was waiting to get old so I could check out and somebody could look after me. But there was still something in me that needed to get out. And I think it was when my mum told me that I probably needed gastric surgery, that something, that little bit of me that was still me, came out and said, come on, this isn't you. This is not you. Your life is so much more. So December the 28th, I couldn't wait for the 1st of January. I got online and joined a slimming club. All I didn't have great big goals. I found something that would work for me. I looked into it, found something that would work for me, and I dedicated 1 year. I thought, if I can dedicate 1 year of my life to trying to get back to how I should be, then it doesn't matter if I lose it. It really doesn't matter. And I started coming down in weight. And as I started coming down in weight, I started putting this Bon Jovi plan back in place. This was my goal. I had his face on my daughter would put his face on my phone as my screensaver. And that was quite embarrassing if anybody ever saw it. I was like, no. But I got down to a size 12 in November, and I thought, this is it. Went to see a particularly good motivational speaker, and he was talking about using your ticket every day and making sure that your day's worth it. So that night, it was amazing timing. The tickets came up for Bon Jovi. They were doing a meet and greet. Everything happened. This was it. This was me. This was my life. Everything that had happened in my life had led to this point. So I went and got the photo taken. Best weekend of my life. Went to the concert, and again, I was about 4 or 5 rows back. I was jumping around, and he looked at me. And this time I felt, yeah, this is amazing. I've made it. I am proud of where I am. The difference is, when I got out, when I thought I'd got to me and everything was great, I realised, actually, what am I going to do now? What is me is moving ahead. I need to get out there. I need to do something. I've set my own business up. I have started helping people with their marketing. And what I've realised is where I've come from has really, really helped in the fact that I can help with other people's businesses. Is that time? Oh. What I can do for people's businesses with the knowledge I have of finding myself and finding what's right for me, being so far away from me and so close to being completely fake and completely not in touch with me, has meant that for people's businesses, I can look at what really is them. And if you look at your business and think of what's in your business that's not you, it's probably the part that isn't working. What you're doing with your marketing in your business to promote yourself, if it's you, if it really is the essence of everything that you do and everything that you enjoy and everything about you, it probably works. Now, for small businesses, we have the most amazing USP, and this is ourselves. This USP nobody else has. And if we can find that, and I need help, a lot of people have a business coach that helps them drill down to what is them and what's going to work for them. And instead of going straight to somebody that says, I know what you need to do this, 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 and this, I'll do it for you. As a small business, we need to stay really true to what we're doing. If you stay true to yourself, to your core message, and to promoting yourself as you, you're going to win. Now, we've got a bit of a legend here in the bag. It's becoming a 4N legend. When I was on holiday at my biggest, I was going on holiday, and I don't know, anybody that's been that size will know there's not a lot you can get hold of. So I had the last pair of shorts in the shop that fitted, and I was so embarrassed when I was on holiday. They are not me at all. What I want to put across is, if you can get from the pink shorts in your business to being you, the real you, just think what you might be able to achieve.